Hey, welcome back to Joel's on Sports. You got your guys here, and tonight, man, hey, we are fired up about college football. We had games yesterday, some awesome games. It's seems like it's been a lifetime since we had football was just back in February, but now we've got football, college, and NFL every single freaking weekend until the middle of February. If you like that, it's freaking awesome. If you don't like that, sucks to be you. This is what's important. This is what we're going to talk about today. And we are so happy to have college football back going again. We had week 0. Now we get on to the rest of the season. It's going to be great. Lots of moving parts this year, different teams and different conferences. Man, Zach, how's it going, man?
Doing good. Um, Starting up school tomorrow, but it was nice to be able to watch the game again. Because it's weird. It feels really long from January till August, but it was a good game. I mean, Georgia Tech. I picked them to win. Um, Solely based off the video game. They're pretty fun to play with on the game, so that's why I thought they'd win. But it was just nice to have that back.
Yeah, I got to toss this in real quick. Yesterday I was down, Zach goes to Ohio U, and yesterday I was down there in Athens, and well, shout out to the good people at Avalanche Pizza, pretty darn good, kind of like a Detroit style, pretty good. And Larry's ice cream shop, good stuff down there. If you're down there in Athens, check them out and tell them that Joel's on Sports sent them. You'll probably not get anything for free, but we appreciate the mention. We were watching that game and the it was just good to have a game and first game since the Super Bowl. College football was just it was nice, and I want to point something out. Usually, when you get to July, or in particular after the Fourth of July and into August every year, the summers are so hot, they're getting hotter. Seems like they're getting longer, and it just takes forever for football to fire up. This year we did have the Olympics for 16 or 17 days that was nice to watch after acted as like a little buffer uh, from the mid-July to the almost the middle of August that took a lot of our time. But that was over. We finally made it back to college football. But yeah, it just seems like it takes forever for it to get back to us.
Yeah, so just gotta enjoy it. And the week one starts Thursday, so you don't have to wait till Saturday. I mean, OU plays Friday. That's the only team that matters. But there's some fun matchups. North Carolina, Minnesota play on Fox. North Dakota State, Colorado play on ESPN. Those are two fun games.
I got a question
Uh,
for you real quick, Zach.
hmm,
Why do you book North Dakota State?
because you're an idiot. I mean, those guys are champions. They have dominated the FCS level for the last 10 years or so.
Yeah.
Um, when I say dominated, not just win a lot, they've won the championship a lot. So
Yeah, I think in the last 10 or 12 years they won 6 times. It's
yeah,
very
it's
impressive.
nuts.
And
So
I want to stress that we're not necessarily picking on their opponent, which is Deion Sanders fighting Colorado Buffaloes. But anybody, I don't know why you would pick North Dakota State to start. I just don't get that.
Colorado's favored to win this game in Vegas, but anybody that knows anything about football knows that North Dakota State, um, they're not a FBS team, so they're not in the power conferences or group of five, but they could be easily.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Very good. They they do little things right, and they love to run the ball. So I think they're going to use their physicality and just the fact that they are fundamentally sound, and that's going to give Colorado trouble because they're flashy. They like to have the big plays, and they love their TV time. So North Dakota State doesn't necessarily care about all that. They're just out there to play ball. So that'll be interesting to see that. But it's nice you don't have to wait another 6 days to watch. And week one goes from Thursday to Friday to Saturday to Sunday. I think there's a game on Monday night too.
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now. They're actually, yeah, freaking Florida State. They play on Monday, the 2nd of September. I guess that's Labor Day. They play Boston College. They'll probably start the season 0-2. It's interesting. We were talking about North Dakota or North Dakota State, and I want to throw something out here really quick. A lot of our Oklahoma listeners are Oklahoma State Cowboys fans. Sorry, folks, but they're playing South Dakota State in their opener. Now, South Dakota State, I believe, is a two-time defending Division II champion. And those guys are no freaking joke. I know Oklahoma State's supposed to be better this year. We've been saying that for 25 years. And I think they've got the 23rd year senior Alan Bowman back at quarterback. And obviously they've got Ollie Gordon II, who probably coming back, he's probably the best returning running back in college football this year. He's going to get a lot of deservedly positive press, and I'm sure he'll get a bunch of yards this year. But I'm really surprised that the Cowboys booked this game as well. So these FCS teams that come in, they're freaking good. And it's not like it was 15 years ago where if you had a D1 team playing this FCS team where there was a 50-pound weight advantage and half-second speed advantage player to player. It's not like that anymore. They're fundamentally sound. They're very good. They limit mistakes. They're going to give these teams, Colorado and Oklahoma State, respectively, they're going to give them a lot of fits. Probably be fun to watch. Sure, they'll be on TV someplace, ESPN Plus for Oklahoma State, it looks like. But um, just some interesting matchups. Here's some other ones. Um, this, I tell you, I think it's so awesome that we got Georgia and Clemson on Saturday at noon. Georgia coming in ranked number one preseason, Clemson 14. These two teams, they play each other yearly. It's a hell of a rivalry, and just game one. It's it's pretty wild. Georgia, hey, in my unqualified opinion, they've taken over that slot that Alabama held for a long time as far as the preeminent program. I don't think that there are too many people who would dispute that. Obviously, they're not going to win everything, but overall, they probably have the most stacked roster. Clemson, great defense. But what do you think about the Clemson Tigers with their kind of anti-transfer portal stuff that Coach Dabo Sweeney preaches about all the time?
No, I don't think that matters. I think at this point, transfer portal talk is, um, I mean, it's not really warranted because it's week one. Like, I get that, one guy sucks and everyone's calling for him to get benched and jump in the portal after one game. But in reality, it doesn't matter. I mean, they're going to play on Saturday, and it's technically a home game for Georgia because it's in Atlanta. But I think more than transfer portal crap, just looking at the game itself, I remember when they played in Charlotte in 2021, was their kickoff game. And
Yeah.
the final score was 10-7. Only touchdown was a pick six. I could see that being like this. Georgia has a much better offense. Clemson doesn't operate well. Cade Klubnik, he was like a number two QB or something coming out of high school. He didn't pan out very well, but maybe he's been doing some work in the dark and they've stepped up their offense. But um, I think it's going to be a great defensive game, and I appreciate that. But I think Georgia, they got Trevor Etienne from Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and he's going to be really good at running back. It'll be interesting. I think the battle in this game is sorry. The battle in this game is um, my computer. The battle in this game is the Georgia running back and O line against that front seven of Clemson because Clemson always has great linebackers and really good D ends, D tackles too. So I don't think either team's going to get worn down. It's going to come down to making those 3rd and 7 plays, um, not screwing up just routine things like punts, field goals, all that kind of stuff. So that's a fun game, but I don't think Clemson's offense is good enough. I could see it being like a 27-14 kind of dogs win there, but still a
Yeah,
fun game to watch. A lot of NFL talent out there.
yeah, a lot of NFL talent. Definitely the marquee matchup of week number one. Georgia, if you go back about 5 years, they were well known for their defense, run the ball down your throat. And in the past couple of years, they've really had some serious talent out there on the edges at wideout. You know, these speed receivers, big, massively productive tight end Brock Bowers, who's in the NFL now. And they have a lot of guys who can stretch the field and go long. They've got a quarterback who's actually freaking really good. What's that dude's name? Carson Beck. And the scary thing about Georgia is that they had the defensive players. They send tons of guys to the NFL every year on defense. Now they're really stacked on offense. And it's no coincidence that their rise mirrors what Alabama did for, 15 years under Nick Saban. Kirby Smart coached under Nick Saban for a long time. He implemented the same philosophy. You can't just say, well, hey, I'm going to do what Bama and Coach Saban did. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Well, they had the resources and the talent and everything to do that at Georgia. They've been very successful. I'll a reoccurring theme for that I'm going to have this season for all of our shows is that I do think Georgia is going to be that best team until somebody knocks them off. Um, but those guys are tough. But it's week one. We've already seen an upset yesterday with Georgia Tech beating Florida State, which was pretty damn funny. Um, I cannot pick Clemson to win this game because I just don't think they'll be able to score enough.
I will call an upset right now in Morgantown, West Virginia.
Whoa, man.
Hey man, I'm
Oh,
taking the Nears in this one.
woo.
Abdul Carter.
Man, I know we got some Mountaineer fans out there that are praising or singing your praises right now.
Abdul Carter out of Penn State's their best player, and he is an edge rusher. So,
Mhm.
um, if West Virginia just runs the ball, throws the ball, rolls out to the opposite side, they're going to be fine. Um, Penn State doesn't have an offense. Drew Aller sucks. Guy can't throw the ball 10 yards down the field. He kind of, as a passer, I'd say he's on the same kind of wavelength as DJ from FSU. I think West Virginia, Garrett Green's going to make some crazy plays, some scrambles. Um, the crowd's going to be crazy there. Week one, I think this is a rivalry game for West Virginia and Penn State.
It is, yeah, man. You and I, we've been to a game down there in Morgantown, and those fans are crazy. That stadium is only 58, maybe 60,000 seats, but it's loud, it shakes. Those fans are having a great time, and the team plays hard.
So
I, yeah, yeah,
my
yeah.
thing is the crowd's going to be tough. It's week one, so I just think it comes down to execution. If it's West Virginia on 3rd and 4, just run something short, get 4.5, and keep going. Just keep the pressure on them, and all the pressure is on them because they're unranked. They're not. They don't
Mm.
have playoff aspirations. They're a Big 12 team, but it's at home. You have a lot of talent coming back for West Virginia. Penn State doesn't have much on offense, so I'm picking West Virginia to win that game.
That is definitely a pretty solid upset pick, and I like West Virginia. I've actually got a West Virginia hoodie in my closet that I occasionally wear. And they've always been fun to watch, solid program, beautiful campus down there and all that. This is a home game, first game. Those two factors bode really well in the Mountaineers' favor. The reason that I cannot pick them to win this game is because Penn State wins games that they are supposed to win. They have a hell of a problem against Ohio State and Michigan. But when you go back and look at their opponents the last 5 years, they win almost everything else, to include their bowl games. And that right there, that's the one reason why I'm taking Penn State to pull this one out in a close game. I think it's going to go down to the last 5 minutes, and Penn State gets a good punt return to put them in great field position. Something kind of squirrely happens, block punt, tip pass, something like that. This game's going to be a knockdown, drag out, dogfight out there in the trenches. It's going to be fun to watch. I don't know if weather is going to be a factor. If they've got rain to forecast, it rains a lot down there in Morgantown, but it's going to be fun. I am going to take Penn State to win. Wouldn't
You
be
know, that's fair.
surprised though. Honestly, I would not be surprised if WV pulled this one out.
Yeah, I just don't think Penn State has enough, but if they can keep it under 3 scores, then they can win. So another interesting, you got. I'm not too high on these teams. Florida's really good on video game, but real life, not so much. Miami, I don't know why Miami's ranked to start this year.
Miami's got a lot of freaking hype, man.
Well, it's not warranted. These two teams have great recruits every year, and they always underperform. I wouldn't be surprised if the best record out of these two teams ends up being 8-4,
Yeah.
and I think that's their ceiling. It's a fun game though because there's gonna be some stupid penalties. There's gonna be some really careless throws and fumbles and stuff because they don't play very clean. Miami and Florida, when they play each other, they don't like each other, but that
Mm.
also factors in that they screw up. So I think this game. Let me take a look. I don't think it's neutral. I think it's at Gainesville.
Yeah, let
Yeah.
me see.
So
I
this
got it. Yeah.
in the swamp. It's gonna probably be 105 degrees and muggy. That doesn't bother these two teams because they went through fall camp and they live there. But I think it's a fun game. You're gonna turn it on. It's gonna be very sloppy. There's gonna be some really gross plays. There's gonna be some great plays by super fast guys, great
Hmm.
defensive plays. But I just think the SEC, their physicality on the defensive line is going to be the difference. Miami, they're not very physical. They're flashy. They like to throw it across the middle and have them run 70 yards. I don't think that's really going to work. I think this is going to be a super nasty, in your face, rip your helmet off kind of game. But I'm taking the Gators in that one because Miami is just, Florida's not very disciplined, but Miami takes that up a notch. They think they're still the U, and they're just Miami.
Yeah, the only thing that kind of is parallel between the Miami University team of today with the teams of yesteryears, they have the same uniform and the same U on the helmet. And that's where the similarity ends. It seems like every year we hear the same thing about two just incredible historic programs. One of them's Nebraska, the other one is Miami. Nebraska's back. The U is back. They ain't back. Yeah, they got to prove this stuff on the field, and I don't see it in this game. I don't know a whole lot about Florida yet, but I think that they're going to win this one in a slugfest, probably by 10 points, 31-21, something like that. I think Miami's going to make some mistakes. They might even have a touchdown call back because of something stupid. Um,
Yeah, that's 100% something that could happen because they are just not disciplined at all, and only the Gators are going to come out alive. And they're going to win. I
yeah.
think my thing is Graham Mertz. He's not really great. He's kind of a facilitator. He's the Gators QB, but as that facilitator, you don't have to be a hero in that offense because you have the really good guys that can make plays and you just get the ball to them. So I think that's what he's going to do. And Florida wins that one. Early rivalry win for them that could catapult them into a strong season.
Yeah, there's another game. It's probably going to be a blowout, Western Kentucky versus Alabama, but this is a historic. Just want to talk for 90 seconds here about Alabama. You're replacing Nick Saban. you can't replace Nick Saban, arguably the greatest college coach of all time. Six national championships in 17 years at Alabama, and they went there a couple other times. They went to the playoff multiple times. Just incredible program. You could argue that the past few years they had fallen off a little bit by only making the playoff or not making the playoff and winning a big bowl game against somebody. But I tell you, it's we talked about this yesterday when I was up there. It's going to be interesting to follow because the fans down there in Tuscaloosa and around the country who have gotten on the Alabama bandwagon over the years, they are used to a certain uh, way of Bama playing, and it ends with them being on the top of the scoreboard. Now, their new coach came from Washington last year, Kalen DeBar, and he has a proven track record of success. And he got the Huskies to the national championship game against Michigan last year. That's not something that's easy to do, obviously. But when I listen to ESPN radio a lot when I'm driving home from work and otherwise, and they're talking about some culture changes down there. Like DeBroer, he's a more of a player's coach. Nick Saban was coach's coach. Um, might be a little bit more loosey goosey at practice. I don't know. All I'm saying is two losses for Alabama, and the fans are going to get freaking nuts out there. Okay. Calling for the coach to be roasted on the barbecue spit or something much, much, much worse. What's your quick thought on Alabama's outlook this year?
I think Jalen Milroe, we've established a long time ago, he's a great athlete, not a great quarterback. They are going to have a solid defense, but they're just going to have to win off talent. And I don't, I just don't think that they're going to be the same. I wouldn't be surprised if they win 9 games, 10 games. And that's just not normal, but it's a bounce back kind of year. Lost a lot of guys last year, coach. I think a big measuring point for them, they go on the road, play at Camp Randall, they play
Mm.
Wisconsin. Wisconsin isn't necessarily a top tier team, but that's going to be on the road against a tough, in your face, smash mouth team. It's going to run the ball at you. That's going to say a lot about, especially that defense. But going in there, getting a win early in the year, that'll tell us about Alabama. So they have a tough schedule. They got to play LSU. They play Georgia at their house. They play OU. So it's not simple at all for them. There's no easy path like Missouri has. But I think Jalen Milroe is a great QB. I'm sure he's improved a lot. I just don't see them being a playoff team.
It's hard for me to see Alabama running that SEC gauntlet that they've done before. And some of these teams in particular, like Ole Miss, I'm high on Ole Miss. That's my NCAA 25 team, and I totally friggin' suck playing. But that's for another show. We're going to talk about our first impressions of the new football game on the PlayStation 5. But um, some of these schools have caught up to Bama or surpassed them in Georgia's context. Then you got some of the new schools coming in, Texas, obviously, Oklahoma. And it's going to be hard for Bama to maintain that dominance that they have. I want to talk about one more game real quick. We'll save the last segment for the hometown team. Interesting matchup in College Station. I think it's in College Station. Let me check real quick here.
It is.
Yeah, it's in
Right
College
back out
Station
to you.
with preseason number 7 ranked independent Notre Dame against the always incredibly talented, usually win one big game a year and totally suck against everybody else, Texas A&M. So this game is in College Station. Notre Dame, perennially a good team. They're kind of like Penn State in that way that they win the games they should win. If they're playing somebody it's a little bit better than them, they run with them for a while. They usually wilt at the end, like they did versus Ohio State last year. But this is going to be kind of a good barometer, and it's important to note for down the line for the college football playoff because of the expanded playoff this year. And we'll talk a lot about that as we go along. If you are one of the five conference champions that you're in, but the 6 through 12 seeds are where they're ranked. And one team that could throw a wrench into a lot of plans is Notre Dame. So while let's just go back to the top, like Clemson and Georgia, because they are in the power conference and the winner of that conference is going to be in the playoff, they can afford a first game loss. Okay. Notre Dame, they really can't. They need to run it. They get a lot off of their name. They're probably still the biggest brand that there is out there, but this is a huge first game for them on the freaking 31st of August.
Yeah, this is tough because everyone's starved of football, and you got a top 10 team coming into your place. It's college game day, it's at night, 100,000 fans in that crazy college station. Those
Mm.
Aggie fans are very weird. They're peculiar people, but they disguise their weird behavior as tradition. So their tradition has led them to not be that great at football. But Notre Dame doesn't really win big games. They look really cool with their gold helmets under the lights, but they don't play very good under the
They
lights.
do look cool. Yeah, yeah, it looks
When
cool.
the lights are too bright, Notre Dame doesn't really show up. And every time I pick them in a big game, they lose. But something about Texas A&M, how they have just underperformed year after year. It's not going to be any different this year. But my thing, whoever wins this game Sunday morning, we're going to be saying A&M to the playoff or Notre Dame to the playoff. Doesn't matter. And personally, Notre Dame, they got Riley Leonard, transfer QB. I believe he was at Duke,
He
and
was
then he
at
got
Duke, yeah.
I think he got injured when they played Notre Dame, actually. So weird storyline there, but I like Notre Dame. I think their defense is disgusting. I think that they are going to be really good. Probably get two, three interceptions, fumbles. Um, their linebackers and their safeties are crazy. They're so good. I think that's what could propel them to win this game because their offense isn't. They don't play great offense, but I have a weird feeling that A&M is going to win this game and finish 7-5. But I just think they're going to win because Notre Dame is a better team, but they don't show up. And game day, all the entire country's watching this game. I don't think they're going to win.
I think this is going to be the one where the Aggies show their capability, and they're capable of beating anybody in the country by 2 touchdowns. It's a matter of executing that, and I think they'll do that against Notre Dame. I like them as well. We got about 5 minutes left in our show, and we want to talk about the hometown team, the Oklahoma Sooners, of course, the best team in the frickin' world. It's not even close. And they're going into, really wild season this year, moving to the SEC along with the Texas Longhorns. Got their first game on Friday night, ESPN, 7 p.m. against a overmatched Temple team. And yeah, I don't know anything about Temple. Oklahoma's got a lot to prove. Um, for a lot of Sooner fans, I came out of the womb a Sooner fan. Okay, that's just how it is when you grow up in central Oklahoma. And nothing gets my blood pressure going way too fast like a freaking Sooners game. They tend to be cardiac kids, and it's something else to watch. It's never boring. Your team is probably boring. Oklahoma Sooners are never boring. This is going to be a very interesting year, and they got quite the schedule. I know that a lot of Sooner fans are used to them putting up 60 points and beating their opponents by 40 and all that. And it's gonna be different this year. And going forward, the SEC has better teams than the Big 12, and the Big 12 teams were good. Um, I don't know about you, Zach, but I'm excited. I would much rather see Oklahoma play a Tennessee or an LSU or an Alabama every year instead of a Kansas State or a TCU. Respect to those other teams, but I'm really excited about this season.
I am excited to watch defense because I think the last time they were good at defense was probably when I was in Texas still. We were in Texas still. So that was a long
Probably
time
with
ago.
Brent Venables when he was the D coordinator there, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see that. They had a lot of guys come back, especially on defense for their last season, which is huge going into that CC. OU is gonna win games with their defense. They're gonna get sacks, they're gonna force turnovers. I think they just have a lot of wild card games. Ole Miss, LSU, Missouri, all those teams could be top 10, top 15. They could also be bottom feeders this year. They are so just sporadic. One loss, one injury can totally derail their season. So those are tough games. They have a brutal schedule in SEC play, but I just think they have to be them. I don't think you change what you do. There is change within the building with quarterback, the coordinator, stuff like that. But a lot of the same guys and pieces are back. I think that you just establish who you are up front. Oklahoma's never going to go away. They're too good. Their football operation it's just too strong. So I think this year there's going to be some games that they squeak by and they win. And then there's going to be some where they show up and they just blast someone like Tennessee in that first game at home in the SEC. That could be one of those kind of a rival games. And they just have, I think the schedule doesn't necessarily favor them, but with the teams they have to play on the road, those are teams that could definitely stumble
Hmm.
and kind of just look forward to next year, which helps them. They do have Alabama at home, that new look Alabama, a lot of change there. OU's got Arnold at QB. I don't think he needs to be a hero, though. You have a great defense, great secondary. You've beefed up the D line. So I just think you hand the ball to your stud running backs, Chuck Barnes, the young guys, Hicks and Tatum. Those guys are going to be good. They might contribute immediately. So, and you got a great receiving core. I think OU's not getting much notoriety right now, and that's a good thing. I
I
think they
want
need to.
to, yeah, I want to toss something out there that is kind of easy to forget as we close up shop here, just real quick. If you go back last year in particular, the Oklahoma beat Texas when Texas was on a roll. Texas was a great team last year, made the college football playoff, and they it went right down to the very end. Anything could have happened. Oklahoma has this reputation that kind of stems from the Lincoln Riley years of being kind of soft out there. And they're not, man. They beat people up. They have not gotten bullied by any team. And so I think that that bodes well for them going into the SEC and is going to make a difference in some of these games that are really close going in the fourth quarter.
They're not going to get pushed around by anybody. They're not. They're not going to walk into Death Valley against LSU and they're not just going to get stomped. It's not going to happen. If you
Yeah.
think that's going to happen, you're delusional. I'm not just saying that because I'm a fan. They their strength and conditioning. OU is the team that tires people out. You tune in the second weekend in October when they play Texas, the guys in red are not going to be tired. They're not. So I think that whole notion that they're soft, they're going to be tough on defense. I think their defense is better than their offense, and they have a lot of weapons on offense. They got a lot of speed, guys that can stretch the field. The O line is a question, but I'm not really too worried about Oklahoma fielding a competent O line. And
Yeah,
the SEC
100%.
D lines, they're tough, but I just think if you're OU, it has always been their identity. You run the ball. Your defense is going to take care of themselves for the first time in I don't know how long, but they are. They're going to get turnovers. They're going to change games. Offense, just be yourself. Run the ball, wear them down.
I think it's going to be fun, man. Really looking forward to it. And we've been kind of sporadic as we close up here for the night. We've been kind of sporadic with our shows this summer because I was out of town for quite a while. Zach was busy doing his thing. But since football is back up, expect us to have a show every week or 10 days with the football season. I know that upcoming, we've got a show coming up about the NCAA 25 football game. We're gonna do. Hey, I'm the freaking king of this stuff, man. We're gonna have a show about that. We got the NFL coming up. We've gonna have a show completely dedicated to the college football playoff coming up. Zach and I did our bracket predictions yesterday. I already have a loss. Can't believe I picked Florida State. Anyway, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a great season, and just it's so awesome that it's here, man. Any last words?
Yeah, I got some words. You suck at the video game. Um, Ole Miss sucks, and don't mislead these people. I watched you lose to Middle Tennessee State today, so
Yeah, you did literally watch me lose to Middle Tennessee State.
I did.
Actually, and you could argue that I lost to them freaking twice because the feed died on me when I was down 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. So yeah, I kind of suck
So
at this stuff, but
yeah,
I'm out
you
there plugging away, and I will eventually get a W, probably over some other team that really sucks really bad.
yeah, I don't believe it. And there's like 20 seconds. I'm gonna say one more thing. LSU plays USC at the Raiders Stadium.
Yeah, we got 5 seconds left, man.
Well, USC's gonna lose.
Down USC. Jaws on Sports, like and subscribe. I'm Mike. Zach, we'll see you later, bud.